Welcome in, everyone, to another deep dive. You guys have been exploring some pretty awesome ideas about art and symbolism and self-discovery lately. And today we're going to kind of add another layer to all that.
Yeah, we're going to try and unlock some of the mysteries surrounding this idea of like X marks the spot.
Oh, cool.
Not just the phrase, though, but an actual watercolor painting called X marks the spot.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to weave together three sources for this one.
Yeah.
We have a YouTube video that analyzes this painting.
Okay.
We have excerpts from a book on Zen enlightenment that actually features X marks the spot in it.
Interesting.
And then we also have a foreword that talks about art as a pathway to self-understanding.
Okay, so I got to know, what does this X marks the spot painting look like?
Okay, so picture this swirling pastel colors,
Yeah.
almost like a burst of energy.
Right, I'm with you.
Then you've got these bold dashed lines that all converge towards the center where there's this big red X. But here's where it gets interesting. Nestled within those colors, you can also make out a skull and this subtle outline of a female figure.
Whoa, a skull. That's not what I was picturing.
Yeah.
That really changes the vibe from a playful treasure hunt to something a bit more well thought-provoking.
Exactly. It makes you question, right? What kind of treasure are we really looking for here? Is it something external, like on a pirate map, or is it something deeper, something within ourselves?
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so we have this visually interesting painting, and we know it's tied to Zen Buddhism and this full idea of self-discovery.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, the YouTube video actually dives into a few different interpretations of X marks the spot. One lens is through Zen koans.
Yeah.
Those riddles or puzzles designed to provoke enlightenment.
Yeah.
They don't really have logical answers. It's more like they jolt your mind into a new way of seeing things.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of koans.
Oh! Yeah.
What is the sound of one hand clapping?
Exactly. So the painting, with its seemingly simple imagery and yet deeper implications, could be seen as a visual koan,
Right.
prompting us to question our assumptions.
I can see that I'm also getting a bit of a choose-your-own-adventure vibe from the X. It represents a decision point or a crossroads on our path.
Absolutely. And the YouTube video touches on that too. The X could represent those big life choices we face, the moments where we have to decide which direction to go. And that ties into another interpretation they mentioned, the Taoist principle of duality.
Okay, for those of us who aren't Taoist scholars, break that down a bit.
Sure. So Taoism emphasizes the interconnectedness of opposites, light and dark, yin and yang.
Okay.
So the X could be seen as the point where these forces converge and diverge, a reminder that every choice we make leads us down a different path.
Okay.
It's not about good or bad, but about understanding the natural flow of things.
Wow, there are so many layers here already, and we haven't even touched on the skull or the female figure yet. This is exactly what I love about art, how a single image can spark so many different ideas and interpretations.
And that's just the beginning. The video also presents the painting as a self-portrait of humanity, playful and full of potential on the surface, but with a deeper awareness of mortality represented by the skull.
Okay, that's making me think about how we often try to avoid thinking about our own mortality.
Yeah.
But it's always there lurking beneath the surface.
Precisely. And the fact that the skull is subtle, it's not the main focus, perhaps suggests that acknowledging our mortality doesn't have to be morbid,
Right.
but can actually fuel a more vibrant and meaningful life.
This is getting really deep. It's like the painting is a mirror reflecting back to us these fundamental truths about existence, choice duality, and the inevitability of death.
And remember, as the foreword emphasizes, art can be a powerful tool for self-discovery. It's not just about appreciating aesthetics,
Right.
but about engaging with ideas and emotions that resonate with our own experiences.
So how do we even begin to apply these ideas from X marks the spot to our own lives?
Well, let's start by considering the X itself.
Yeah.
If you think of it as a decision point,
Yeah.
are there any big choices you're facing right now?
That's a great question, and I bet our listener has some X's in their life too.
Yeah.
What about the skull? How can we apply that reminder of mortality in a practical way?
That's where things get really interesting. The skull in X marks the spot isn't meant to scare us. It's more like a gentle nudge to remember that our time is precious,
Right.
And this awareness that the skull kind of symbolizes prompts us to ask what truly matters in our own lives.
Yeah.
What do we want to accomplish? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind?
That's powerful. It's like the painting is asking us, hey, if you knew you only had a limited amount of time, how would you spend it?
Exactly. And that ties into one of the key principles of Zen Buddhism, this concept of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is in a constant state of flux. The Zen text we have here actually includes a passage about this, saying, "Life is like a dewdrop on a blade of grass, sparkling for a moment, then gone."
Wow, that's beautiful and a little bit melancholy.
It is, but the beauty of impermanence is that it makes every moment even more precious.
Yeah.
If we can truly embrace this fleeting nature of life,
Yeah.
it allows us to appreciate each experience more fully without clinging to the past or worrying about the future.
I'm sensing a theme here. The X, the skull, it's all pointing us towards living more intentionally, making the most of each moment.
You're picking up on it, and this brings us to the I Ching, that ancient Chinese text mentioned in the foreword.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of wisdom about change and navigating life's transitions.
So how does the I Ching relate to X marks the spot?
Well, think about the X as like a crossroads, a moment of decision.
Okay.
The I Ching provides guidance for those moments by offering insights into different situations and potential outcomes based on the hexagrams you cast.
Okay, for anyone who's never consulted the I Ching, can you give us a quick I Ching for beginners lesson?
Sure. It's based on the idea that everything is connected and constantly changing. You ask a question.
Okay.
Then, through a process involving coins or yarrow stalks, you arrive at a specific hexagram.
Hmm.
Each hexagram consists of 6 lines, either broken or solid, representing yin and yang.
So it's kind of like a symbolic language for understanding the patterns of change.
Exactly. And the I Ching doesn't give you direct answers, but rather nudges you towards a deeper understanding of your situation and the forces at play.
It sounds a bit like those Zen koans we were talking about, prompting you to think differently and find your own answers.
It is both Zen Buddhism and the I Ching encourage self-reflection and a more intuitive approach to decision-making,
Okay.
trusting your inner compass rather than relying solely on logic.
So are you saying that X marks the spot is like a visual representation of the I Ching, like the X is the hexagram and the different interpretations of the possible paths we could take?
I love that connection. And it makes sense when you think about how the painting, like the I Ching, doesn't offer a single right answer.
Right.
It's about contemplating the possibilities and finding the path that resonates with your own unique journey.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored different interpretations of the painting, delved into Zen Buddhism and the I Ching, and talked about impermanence and intentional living.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the female figure in the painting?
She seems like a bit of a mystery.
She is, and I think that's intentional. The YouTube video suggests she could represent intuition like the inner guide we all have access to.
Right.
Or she might symbolize the illusory nature of form, reminding us that things aren't always what they seem.
I love that idea. Like maybe the treasure isn't an object at all, but rather a state of being, a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly, and that ties into the whole concept of self-discovery that the foreword talks about. Art can be a catalyst for this journey, helping us to connect with our inner wisdom and uncover hidden truths about ourselves. So where does this leave our listener? They've been exploring these ideas about art symbolism and self-discovery. How can they connect X marks the spot to their own life?
Well, I think it all comes back to that central question we posed earlier. If you were to imagine your life as a vast canvas, where would you place your X? What treasure are you seeking?
And how can the wisdom of Zen Buddhism, the I Ching, and this enigmatic painting guide them on their journey? This is where it gets personal, right?
Yeah, it really does feel like this painting and all these ideas we're discussing are kind of giving us this framework for thinking about our own lives.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about finding a single right answer.
Right.
Just like those Zen code Canso X marks the spot invites multiple interpretations.
Mm.
You know, what resonates most with you will depend on your own unique experiences, your values, and what you're seeking in life.
So it's less about the destination and more about the journey itself. Precisely, the YouTube video even touches on that, suggesting that the creative process itself is part of the treasure. Like, the act of exploring, questioning, and expressing ourselves through art can be so rewarding, regardless of the outcome.
I'm also thinking about how the sources talk about art as a portal to heightened awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just about passively observing, but actively engaging with the work, letting it spark something within us.
Yes, it's about allowing ourselves to be moved, challenged, and transformed by what we encounter. And that transformation can take many forms, you know?
Yeah?
It may be a shift in perspective, a deeper understanding of ourselves, or even a newfound sense of purpose.
So how can we cultivate that kind of active engagement with art in our own lives?
Well, I think it starts with curiosity. Be open to experiencing different forms of art, whether it's painting, sculpture, music, poetry, or even performance art. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and explore something new.
And what about when we encounter a piece of art that really grabs our attention, like X marks the spot? What can we do to kind of deepen that engagement?
One approach is to just spend time with the work. Really observing it, noticing the details, the colors, the composition. Ask yourself questions like, what emotions does this evoke in me? What memories or associations does it bring up? What story is it telling?
And don't forget about those symbols. We've seen how powerful symbols can be in X marks the spot.
Oh, yeah.
They can operate on multiple levels, tapping into both our conscious and subconscious minds.
Absolutely. Paying attention to symbolism in art can unlock these hidden layers of meaning and really deepen our understanding of the work. And remember, symbols are often open to interpretation, so don't be afraid to explore what they mean to you personally.
I love that it's like we're all detectives searching for clues and piecing together the puzzle.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is there's no one right solution. The journey of interpretation is just as valuable as the destination.
This whole conversation is reminding me of something from the Zen text. It talked about how true enlightenment isn't about reaching some final goal, but rather about embracing the present moment,
Yeah.
the constant process of learning and growing.
It is, and that's a beautiful way to think about our engagement with art as well. It's not about arriving at a definitive answer, but about being open to the ongoing process of discovery, interpretation, and transformation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm
Oh.
curious to know what's sticking with you? What are you taking away from this exploration of X marks the spot?
For me, it's the reminder that art can be such a powerful catalyst for self-discovery. It invites us to contemplate life's big questions, to explore our own inner landscapes, and to find meaning and purpose in our journeys.
I think the X marks the spot concept offers a wonderful framework for approaching that journey. It encourages us to embrace uncertainty, to trust our intuition, and to be open to the unexpected treasures we might find along the way.
Beautifully said. And remember, the X marks the spot, not just on a treasure map, but within each and every one of us.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into art symbolism and self-discovery. We hope it has sparked some new insights and inspired you to continue exploring these ideas in your own life.
And remember, the journey of self-discovery is an ongoing process, so keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those hidden treasures within yourself and the world around you.